Okay, welcome everyone. In this video, we're going to talk about arrays and strings. Array. What is an array? I think it's pretty self-explanatory what an array was. Array is one type of data structure, right? So in array, every element is of only single type. So that means in one particular array, we can only store one type of elements. We can store as many elements as we want, and in array the elements are stored consecutive to each other. And it is important, this is important because of the locality and to calculate the offset of the elements. So the array is referred using a single identifier, and a particular element can be referred using array offset or indices. So let me show this. Okay, how do we declare an array? Now the syntax is as follows. First of all, you have a type, then followed by an identifier for that array, then this open bracket and close bracket in which you will specify the size of an array. Okay, for example, consider this. So this is an integer array. You have type int, then the identifier for this array is int array, and then I specified 10. 10 is the size of, so this array size is 10 integers. This array consists of 10 integers. And below, this is a character array. So same as the syntax is same. You have type char, then an identifier. Identifier can be anything, then the size. Now this array consists 50 character elements. So how do you initialize an array? Or how do you set the values of its elements? So first way, you can initialize an array while declaring it. So in here, I'm initializing this int array while declaring it. So the first element, so the size of an array is 2, the first element value is 1 and second element value is 2. So let me change this to 5 or let's just say 7. So the first element value is 5 and second element value is 7. Let me just print these values. So in this printf function, I'm just passing my array values. So let me just run this function. See, my array first element value is 5 and second element value is 7, which is what I initialized it with. So we can also set the values of an array elements. So the way we refer to the element in an array is, first of all, we will use an array identifier like this. Then after that, we will put an offset. In here, this is an offset value. So if it was 0, it basically saying the first element. So this may be kind of confusing, but in C, the first element was referred with 0. Or we can say the numbering starts from 0, 1, 2. So this number is basically an offset saying like, okay, go to this array, whatever array this was, and skip this many number of elements. And if it was 0, just don't skip anything, give me the first element. Okay, so next we assign this value to whatever we can, like, let's just say 50. So previously it was 5, now I assigned it to 50. Let's just run this. See, now my value is 50. And similarly, I can change any value. So let me change this. Let me just increase the size to 10. And now I can refer to 9. This basically says from the start of this thing, skip 9 elements in the array and go to the next element. In here, it basically means 10th element, the last element. Or the another way to think is the numbering starts from 0. So if the 9 basically means my 10th element. Okay, don't get confused. So let me just run this one. See, my array first element was 5 and my array index 9, the element value is 50, which is what I said. Okay, now what is the use of an array? Why do we use an array? So it's simple. If you think like all these elements are referred through only a single identifier. For example, consider a case where you have to store the marks for some specific student. Okay, consider this example. You store in the marks of a particular student, like student 1. Now you have to store, like, you have to say this is an integer student 1 and a specific subject, and you have to store it like that. Or you can create an array called student1 for a specific student. Then you can store the marks in a compact way like this. For example, in the first element I store math marks, in second physics, and in third element I store the chemistry mathematics. And for every student there is only one identifier, and this is way more compact and way more useful in future. Okay, now let's talk about strings. Now in C there is no basic data type as string, but strings are very frequently used. So the way we store a string in C is through character arrays. We already learned what an array is, and in C string is nothing but a character array. Now consider this. I created a character array called sample string, and the size is 10 characters, 10 elements or so, and I initialized it same way as previously how we initialized an integer array. Now if you observe, in the end there is this special character, and this character is called null, and this is very important. In C we end every string with this null character. Why is this important? Because now if you want to store any string, so the string I'm storing is hello, hello, so it's 5 the size. So for character array I can give size 5, then I can say like only hello, then I can close my curly braces. But that's not quite right. I have to give one extra character. I have to take space for extra character, which is this null character, to end my string, to mark it as like, okay, this is the end for this string. Now let me just run this. See, my string is hello. Now what if I remove this one? Now see this one. I taken my character array only with 5 element size, and I filled it entirely without this null character. Now see what happens. Let me just write this one. See, after hello, something extra got printed. So in C we definitely need that null character. So the reason is simply, many functions in C, how it works is it start at the start of an array, and it will go on thinking it as a string until it encounters that null character. So until it encounters that null character, it's going to think everything up to that point is in our string. So this makes more sense if you know what pointers are. Don't worry, you'll learn about that. So there is another way in which we initialize a character array, and this is usually how we initialize it. So observe this one. In here you put whatever the string or statement you want to store in quotation marks, and I can give some value or my size like 50 whatever, which is big enough to store this one, or I can leave it. So if I didn't specify the size of an array would be your string plus one character for null character. Okay, now see this one. I'm in this printf function. I'm also printing the size of this my character array, and see, since I didn't specify any value, my size of this character array is 6, and 5 for this hello, and one extra character to store the null character. Or I can specify any value like 100 or whatsoever. Now my string or my character array size was 100. And you can refer each element separately and can change its value. So it's a character array. So I indexed my first element and changed it from capital H to K. Now see what it does print. So it print hello. So H was replaced with small k. And that's it for this video, and thanks for watching.